If you're thinking about playing MMOs for the first time or for the first time in a long time and you're just trying to figure out which MMO you should dive into, then this is the video for you. Since you're possibly new to the genre, I'm going to avoid the underwhelming or aggressively pay-to-win MMOs that long-time MMO players dive into simply because we are bored of all of the best options. The MMOs on this list are the highest quality and the least pay-to-win MMOs that you can get into in 2026 that still have massive player base sizes. First up, we have to talk about World of Warcraft, for a lot of reasons. World of Warcraft does a lot of things right, but its free trial is lacking compared to its competition, only letting you play the first couple of hours for free. However, there is no MMO that is easier to get into now that WoW has added its one-button assist feature, which has the game handle the most daunting part of the game for you, your rotation of abilities. You'll be able to press one button and it'll automatically cast your abilities in the right order to do the most damage for you. You'll still have other utility abilities that you'll use on occasion, but almost everything else is handled by spamming the single button. Some people will love this feature, some people are definitely going to hate it, but the fact of the matter is this feature closes the gap between the new player and the 20-year veteran more than any other feature before. It's worth noting that if you do master the rotation and do it yourself, you can squeeze out a little bit more damage than someone using the single button assist feature. World of Warcraft is the most popular MMO in the world, and with that massive success comes the finances that allow it to add more content than any other MMO. So you will always have something to do in this MMO. And if you're someone that doesn't like grouping with other players, you'll be happy to know that WoW used to force people to dive into multiplayer content to get the best gear, but now you can use delves to farm some of the best gear in the game solo. WoW also added housing recently for people who are into that sort of thing, so the fact is that WoW has something for everyone: casuals, sweats, beginners, and veterans. Catching up to the veterans doesn't take very long, as you'll be collecting the same gear as the 20-year players as soon as you hop into the newest expansion. Before you get into the latest expansion, you'll start off on Tutorial Island for the first 10 levels, and then you'll get dropped into Dragon Isles, which unlocks flying nice and early for the new players. The downside to the way that WoW has deprecated old expansions is that it can be difficult to get a coherent story, and the story in WoW in recent years seems to be having a really tough time deciding whether it wants to cater to its longtime fans or a new audience that some would call a modern audience, and oftentimes it lands awkwardly in between the two. World of Warcraft kind of has a reputation for veterans being hard on new players, and while this can be true in any game, I've found that the vast majority of my experience with random players has been a pleasant one. World of Warcraft is a tab target MMO, which definitely can feel dated for new players today if they've never played an MMO before, but WoW has added an action combat mode that you can turn on that allows you to play this game like more modern day action RPGs. But really, over the last year, World of Warcraft has put a massive focus and a massive amount of effort into making this game more accessible to new players. It's removed a lot of the skill bloat that has built up over the years so that you don't have to manage 20 different abilities anymore. Your rotation is a lot simpler if you decide to do it yourself. Alternatively, you can just activate the one button assist feature and just click that one button until the enemies are dead. If you choose to go this route, then your progression in the game moves away from mastering the game's combat and over to collecting gear and cosmetics. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing entirely depends up to the player. So if all of that sounds good to you, maybe give WoW a try. Next up, we have Final Fantasy XIV. This game has the most generous free trial. It gives you the first 70 levels for free, as well as the first 2 expansions, more than enough time for you to decide if you like the game or not before you spend a single cent. Unlike most MMOs, this MMO is really easy to follow along with as a new player. It has a very coherent story. You'll always know what you need to do next thanks to the easy to follow main story quest button in the top left corner of your screen. You click it and it tells you where you need to go next. And unlike World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV has not deprecated its old expansions, which means you still play through the same story in a linear fashion. So whether you started the game today or 10 years ago, you're experiencing the same great coherent story as everyone else. And thanks to its age and popularity, it has incredible depth with tons of content that has been added over the many years since it came out. Final Fantasy XIV is definitely guilty of having skill bloat. The game has a lot of abilities, but the long and protracted leveling process does a decent job of drip feeding them to you as as you level up so that you have time to learn how to use each one before you unlock the next one. And as far as communities go, Final Fantasy XIV is infamous for how friendly and welcoming its players are. So if you've played an MMO before and you felt like players were too mean, well, maybe you'll be a better fit in Final Fantasy XIV's community. And if you get a bit nervous playing with real players, Final Fantasy XIV allows you to run its duties and its dungeons with NPCs. If you do decide that you love the game, Final Fantasy XIV is one of the most fairly monetized MMOs, with absolutely no pay to win. And being that it's free to try, you lose nothing if you decide it's not for you. It's the only MMO with Yoshi P as the game director, and the single player story content is very easy, so you'll have no problem progressing even as a new player. And if one of the duties does defeat you, you can always change the difficulty down to very easy. Longer global cooldowns in this game mean that you have more time to think about which skill you're going to be casting next, but it's definitely worth noting if you don't enjoy heavy dialogue in games, there are probably better options on this list for you because this game has a lot of talking. This is one of the most popular MMOs in the world, with the most welcoming community in the world, so it's definitely worth giving a try if you love the Final Fantasy series or if you're just looking for a great fantasy MMO to try. Next up, we've got Prism 2033, a PC game coming to Steam, Epic, and mobile. It's a sci-fi open world game that takes place in a futuristic city with multiple parallel realities, each with their own visual styles and dedicated quest lines. The high-speed sports cars and bank heists are giving off those GTA vibes with this one. You can form teams to fight against alien monsters surging through dimensional rifts. The high-quality action ramps up fast. When things don't go as planned, you can fight it out on the ground or take the battle to the skies with epic aerial combat. If you want something more laid back, you can explore the city to collect cosmetics and decorations for your house, your car, and your outfits. The link for this one's in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. The world is alive with futuristic architecture, vending machines, and AI-empowered NPCs to enhance immersion. Ask them anything you want as opposed to sticking to a scripted dialogue. And it's all built on UE5 with precision facial pinching, an ultra-realistic city, and even an epic floating island with a massive dragon. Or maybe you feel like collecting powerful weapons and taking out some enemies. This game is backed by Epic, GDC, and IGN. You can enjoy it on PC and take advantage of crossplay when it comes to mobile. And it's built by the same team that brought you Dragon Raja. So what are you waiting for? Right now, the official pre-registration bonus event is on. Click the link in the description below to pre-register for Prism 2033 today, and you can also add it to your wishlist on Steam and Epic. You'll get a notification the second it's out. Immerse yourself in these multiple parallel worlds. Don't miss out. Shout out to Prism 2033 for sponsoring this segment. Now let's get back to the video. Next up, we have Guild Wars 2. Another old but fantastic MMO is Guild Wars 2. It's your classic MMO experience with another incredibly generous free trial, featuring the entire base game and the first 80 levels for completely free. If you do enjoy the game after that, you'll have to buy each of its expansions individually to enjoy them all. However, unlike World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, Guild Wars 2 does not make you pay a monthly subscription fee. And because of that lack of a subscription fee, it makes this game very easy to pick up and put down at your own pace. It has a great story that leads you through the entire game, and the open world content and the questing are some of the best out there. Unfortunately, getting into group content in Guild Wars 2 is not quite as easy as it is in World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, but if your focus is more on open world exploration and single player content, the zone design in Guild Wars 2 is S tier, featuring some of my favorite zones in any MMO. And just like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV's newer content, it is voice acted. Guild Wars 2 probably has the best in-game wiki of any MMO ever, which can be a great asset for new players learning their way around the game. If you see something you don't understand, you just use the wiki in-game. Bam, now you're an expert on that topic. Couldn't be easier. And just like WoW, Guild Wars 2 has the ability to turn on action combat mode so that you can play it like an action combat game instead of a tab target game. Long story short, if you want an MMO without a subscription, this is perhaps the best option for you. Next up, we have Star Wars: The Old Republic. This is another MMO that you can play without a subscription. The entire base game is free as well, making this a very cheap MMO to dive into. If you want access to all of the expansion content, you do have to buy the subscription for a single month, then cancel your sub, and you'll maintain access to all of the content that you've unlocked forever. This means this is one of the cheapest MMOs on this list. If you're a Star Wars fan, there really isn't a better Star Wars MMO out there for you right now. The single player content and the story are what really shine in this game, while the multiplayer content is a lot harder to get into these days. Star Wars: The Old Republic does have have what it calls flashpoints, which are the equivalent of what other MMOs would call dungeons. It allows you to play them solo in story mode so that you can learn them at your own pace. And later, if you want to group with other players, the game does feature a dungeon finder to make that nice and easy. And it's worth mentioning this is a tab target MMO. The biggest downside for this game is that its developer handed it off to another developer to keep it alive, and development has predictably slowed significantly since then. This means it's likely that you're not going to get any substantial updates moving forward, so this MMO isn't going to be getting the same amount of new content that other MMOs on this list will. If you get into Star Wars: The Old Republic today, you're doing it for what's already in the game and not what's to come, because there may not be much new stuff coming. However, if you're looking for a great Star Wars story, this is a very solid option. Next up, we have The Elder Scrolls Online. If you like the Elder Scrolls franchise, this might be the one for you. You can usually purchase the base game for about 20 bucks, sometimes less if it's on sale, and after that you can purchase the monthly subscription to unlock the rest of the content. So half of this game does not require a sub, the other half of it does. Like Final Fantasy XIV and Star Wars, this is best known for its single player content. Every ounce of dialogue in this game is voice acted to maximize your immersion, and Elder Scrolls Online has added more lore to the Elder Scrolls universe than all other Elder Scrolls games combined. So if you're an Elder Scrolls lore nerd or someone that's just enjoyed questing around the previous entries, you might really enjoy this game. The group content in ESO is great as well, with some of the best dungeons and raids out of all the MMOs on this list. ESO features action combat by default, which helps make the game feel a lot more modern for players that have never played an MMO before. So if you've tried tab target MMOs and you didn't care for that combat, you might like this more. ESO is still getting consistent content updates, though it is transitioning away from its annual expansion model. Does this mean we'll see significantly less content being added to ESO moving forward? Possibly, but it's too early to tell right now, so we'll have to wait and see. ESO shines when it comes to its story content, but it falls behind the other MMOs on this list when it comes to earnable mounts and cosmetics. So if being able to earn the coolest cosmetics and mounts is an important part of your MMO experience, other MMOs on this list will likely be a better match for you. Otherwise, ESO has become a fantastic fantasy MMO for fans of the Elder Scrolls universe, and is very approachable for new players. Next up, we've got Old School RuneScape, and as you can see, it's quite old. However, those many years of age come with many years of added content, so there is tons to do in this game. You might not be able to tell by looking at it, but this baby right here is one of the most popular MMOs in the world right now. This is the MMO you play if you're looking for something to play while you're watching Netflix next to your partner, or something that you can play semi-AFK. This is why people call this game a numbers go up game. Your ultimate goal is to level up one of your many professions and skills by using them. Level up cooking by cooking. You'll level up fishing by fishing. Level up attacking enemies by attacking enemies. This is another MMO that allows you to play through the entire base game for free, and if you like it, you can choose to subscribe to unlock the rest of the game. The base game is huge, but most of the content is tucked behind that subscription. Old School RuneScape is definitely the most confusing game on this list, and it's the least intuitive thanks to its very dated UI. But its authentic old school feel is part of its appeal and part of what makes it a unique entry. Unlike some of the other games on this list, playing this game without using guides is quite difficult. The game doesn't hold your hand and lead you through it. It lets you head off in any direction that you would like and pick up quests from anyone you want. This creates a unique form of freedom that you don't get in a lot of games these days, but it can also lead to new and experienced MMO players feeling quite lost upon logging in. In fact, veteran MMO players are probably at the biggest disadvantage here. They are used to logging in and looking for a yellow exclamation mark on the map and running to it without really paying attention to anything else. In Old School RuneScape, you'll need to read quest dialogue carefully, figure out its puzzles by using the directions and the clues that you collect along the way. So if you want an old school point and click experience with thousands of hours of content available, maybe check out Old School RuneScape. Next up, we've got World of Warcraft Classic. The original version of World of Warcraft is one of my favorite games for a lot of reasons. The only downside to this is I've already played through it a few times. The leveling experience in Classic WoW feels much more like an open world journey than other MMOs on this list. And unlike all of the modern MMOs, quests in this game are actually challenging and engaging. If you aggro too many enemies, you'll likely pay the price. There will be moments when you realize you've bit off more than you can chew, and you'll have to come back to take down that enemy or that cave that you found when you're more powerful. Somewhere along the line, modern MMOs and even modern day WoW lost this part of the adventure. At no time in World of Warcraft's newest expansion did I ever really feel like I needed to pay attention while questing. It's just that easy. And this isn't a WoW issue, it's all modern MMOs in general. The questing content has become a bit of a formality, but not something where you actually need to try in order to succeed. In the pursuit of making modern MMOs appeal to as many people as possible, the challenge has largely been removed removed from the open world experience, instead being saved for instanced content. And that's fine. But that's also why leveling up in Classic WoW is a completely different experience from your modern day MMO experience. So if you find yourself questing through modern MMOs and grow tired of steamrolling over every group of enemies that are unfortunate enough to find themselves in front of your character, and you want something that demands a little bit more effort from you, the Classic WoW open world experience might be more your speed. This doesn't mean that Classic WoW is harder to learn. In fact, quite the opposite. Its simplicity is part of its appeal. It has all of the core features of an MMO, but without the 20 years of bloat that have been added on to try and keep the attention of longtime players. All of this makes Classic WoW a unique entry on this list. The biggest downside of Classic WoW is that it has a finite amount of content. Until Blizzard comes out with Classic WoW Plus, or whatever they're going to call this new version of Classic WoW that actually gets new content, you're stuck with the content that was released 20 years ago. This means that eventually you'll run out of things to do. However, that's going to take a while and it'll be a lot of fun until you do. So if you're craving a taste of open world MMOs before their questing difficulty was tuned down to the lowest common denominator, this is an excellent option. Next up, we have Where Winds Meet. If all of these MMOs are just feeling a bit dated and you just want something that feels like it came out in the last couple of years, this might be your jam. Now, Where Winds Meet does blur the lines between an action RPG and an MMO, so it's not going to feel like an MMORPG in the way that other games on this list do. But if none of those caught your eye, maybe that's a good thing. It has dungeons and raids, just like MMOs do, that you can run with other players. And it has massive open world zones for you to explore and quest in. The game is gorgeous and it's completely free to play. You don't have to buy it and you don't need to subscribe in order to enjoy it. This game is especially fun for people who want a laid back open world questing and puzzle solving experience. It has loads of hours of open world exploration built in and it does it pretty well. However, if you're looking for more of a classic MMO experience, then one of the other MMOs on this list might be a better fit for you. So there are my top 8 MMOs for players that are new to the genre. Which one is your favorite? Do you think I should have added any that aren't on this list? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you make a compelling enough argument, I'll add it next time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more quality gaming content. Thanks so much for watching, and shout out to my channel members for supporting the channel. If you want to become a member for behind the scenes footage and access to a private Discord channel and more, hit the join button below. If you're still not sure what to play, check out one of these videos popping up on screen right now. Hope to see you in the next one.